Two Barbadians reportedly killed in Jamaica. Growing support for marijuana to be decriminalized. And in sports, the UWI are the BCA Super 50 champions.
Credible, balanced, committed. This is the CBC Evening News.
And a very good evening to you. I'm Sophia Alsop, Cambridge, with this Sunday, September 9th edition of the CBC Evening News. In our top story tonight, there are reports out of Jamaica that two Barbadians who travelled to that country a few days ago have been found dead. Their burnt and partially decomposed bodies were discovered at Woodbourne in St. Thomas on Friday. As we hear in this TVJ report, Jamaican police later identified the bodies.
They are Barbadian nationals Dario Yearwood and Daniel Griffiths. The police say the men arrived in Jamaica on Wednesday and were expected to check into the Hotel Four Seasons in Kingston, but never did. It's reported that about 1 o'clock Friday afternoon, a resident was searching for one of his animals, but instead found the partially decomposed bodies in bushes. Detectives searched the area and found the men's IDs. One of the bodies had gunshot wounds to the head and side, while the other had a bullet wound to the upper body. It's the second double murder in St. Thomas since the start of the year, bringing the number of murders to 21.
In the meantime, earlier today, police in Barbados said that they could not at the time confirm reports of the two Barbadians being killed in Jamaica. In a statement issued, the acting police public relations officer, Michael Blackman, said he has not been informed of any official report made to local police in relation to the matter. However, police are tonight conducting investigations into the unnatural death of a man following an early morning shooting incident at Haynesville in St. James. He's been identified as Dario Ramon Graves of Central Close, Haynesville, St. James, and formerly of Grape Hall in St. Lucie. A CBC team visited the St. James area where Graves lived. However, nearby residents were unwilling to comment. In a statement released this afternoon, police said they received and responded to a report of a shooting at around 18 minutes past 2 this morning, and Graves was then transported to the Queen Elizabeth Hospital by a private motor vehicle. Regrettably, he later succumbed to his injuries. In other news, Barbadians appear to be warming up to the idea of the legalization of cannabis. That's according to co-director of the Caribbean Development Research Services, or CADRIS, Corey Sandiford. Sharika Griffith has the story.
Mr. Sandiford made the comments during a discussion on cannabis hosted by the University of the West Indies as part of its 70th anniversary activities. He says in 2008, studies showed that 23% of the population supported at least partial legalization of cannabis, but by 2014, that figure had increased to 45%.
Most recently, though, in 2017, the last time a nation poll was conducted, overall support for legalization had grown now from 45% in 2014 to 52%. And opposition was marginally lower, whereas it was 37% in 2014, it was 36% in 2017. So the opposition really seems to have stabilized, but what you probably have is a case where people who didn't feel, they probably responded, they were unsure, or the percentage of people who responded were unsure in 2014 have now kind of made up their minds that this is something that they wish to support.
Meanwhile, senior lecturer in pharmacology at UWI, Dr. Damien Kohal, says while local laws forbid the possession, cultivation and sale of cannabis, they do allow access to the substance for medical use once permission is granted by the Ministry of Health. He's therefore proposing a gradual rollout of medicinal cannabis laws.
We suggest that phase one under the current legislation, as I would have mentioned previously, that we believe that cannabinoid agents, which are known as drugs, approved by the US FDA and other established drug regulatory boards or bodies, should be accessible within our current local national formulary.
Dr. Kohal says the next phases would look at amending current legislation to expand the list of drugs which can be imported. Following that, he says, would be tackling the issue of cultivation. That aspect, he believes, is perhaps the most complex because of the dangers associated with abuse, trafficking, and self-medication. Sharika Griffith, CBC News.
Thank you, Sharika. Well, despite suggestions during the last election of the church having a smaller role to play in politics, one government minister is firmly against that idea. He's Minister of Energy and Water Resources, Wilfred Abrams. The minister shared his thoughts on the matter during a Thanksgiving ceremony for his election victory at the Sons of God Apostolic Spiritual Baptist Church. Minister Abrams says God should be at the center of every important decision.
That says that in every important decision and every important venture, God should be at the center. Otherwise, it will amount to nothing. People talk last election about religion. The former government talked a lot about morality. But the Christians came out last election and the Christians spoke.
Well, Barbadian employers and employees alike now have a guide to help prepare for retirement. That's thanks to a new book by Dr. Ashwell Thomas entitled Planning for Tomorrow. Speaking at the book launch, the human resource management specialist says, given the changing retirement landscape, people generally need to be better prepared for that stage of life.
Considering the many changes in the approaches to retirement and the definition of retirement itself, employers have a lot to reconsider in how they go about preparing employees for retirement. This book, Planning for Tomorrow, will help employers to prepare their long-serving staff to transition into retirement with much more confidence and a sense of security.
And Dr. Thomas believes that planning is everything.
This book will help readers to reflect and think about how today's lifestyles impact the life they hope to live tomorrow, when they can no longer earn, and to develop planning techniques that will help to navigate the many challenges in retirement.
Well, despite being affected by rising costs, the Barbados Cancer Society is back with its popular car raffle. Speaking at the official launch, the president of the Cancer Society, Dr. Dorothy Cook-Johnson, says they've tried very hard to maintain ticket prices over the years, although their expenses have increased. She outlines how the money earned would help with society.
A whole lot of Barbadian persons who support the society every year to enable us to get rid of a few thousand tickets, and they all are involved in making funds for us that supports, for instance, our free van service, transport service for patients refreshments and work in the QEH, our early detection clinics. The donations assist us with helping people to cope with groceries and with their illness. It's support for children and it provides counselling.
And Dr. Cook-Johnson adds that the car is not all that participants have to look forward to.
So there's just one lucky winner of the prize, but there are other super prizes as well. And you can see these on the ticket that you have, and they are including, hotel stays, a solar water heater, and so on. And then there are other fabulous prizes also listed on the ticket, and they are 24 in number, a wide variety of jewelry, and then electrical equipment, and food hampers, and bank accounts.